Hi everybody, I'm Josh Constine with TechCrunch TV, Backstage at TechCrunch Disrupt New York, and I'm here with Brendan Iribe, and we're talking about Oculus. Now, you were purchased by Facebook a few weeks ago, and everyone was wondering, why does that make sense? Could you try to, let's go on an imagination adventure right now. Could you try to reimagine some of Facebook's existing features through Oculus?
So that was one of the things that we first were thinking, right? When Mark came down, he tried the demo. He came out of this kind of consumer prototype that we have that a number of people have been talking about, saying that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen, and I get that this is going to change the world. How can we help? And the first thought is Facebook inside of VR. I don't know about that. And he's like, no, I don't think that would work at all. That's not what I'm talking about. And so it wasn't really imagining certain features or their website floating in VR. It was more around their mission. So their mission is to connect this kind of open and connected world, and to connect people in a very social and communication way with their platform around Facebook, around Instagram, on photos, around WhatsApp, with communication on the mobile device. They have a big mobile focus now, but they're really trying to connect people. And so with Oculus in VR, we really want to connect people. We want to connect 1 billion people in VR and have face-to-face communication, and we want to have all kinds of entertainment experiences and games. And so when we started to describe our vision, Mark said, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I'd like to help you do that. And I think we can help solve some of those hard problems. Like connecting 1 billion people in VR needs a big network infrastructure, like one of the biggest ever. I mean, 1 billion person MMO. How do you do that?
Sure. I mean, I'm not expecting the news feed to be just like floating in space or something, but let's take Messenger, for instance. Right now, it's trying to be about as authentic of a way for two people to communicate mobily as possible. And now, there's stickers and photos, there's an inline selfie camera. It feels a little bit like you're talking with someone face to face. But would you imagine that one day, Messenger could be ported to virtual reality?
Well, what we've found and what we are out there preaching is that porting doesn't work. You can't port to VR. You have to make a VR experience from scratch. And I think, especially with communication, a Messenger which is completely designed, even they had to rebuild largely from scratch. I don't think they used any client-side code when they made their Messenger for mobile as a standalone app versus a web page that runs in a browser. They're very, very different platforms, web and mobile. They're just different. If you look at VR, it's even more different. It's not 2D, it's VR, it's 3D. So the Messenger for VR, the communications platform, is going to be more of this face-to-face avatar-based system that I think is pretty far from Facebook Messenger. So I doubt we'll be reusing any client-side code.
Sure. I mean, I think you're getting me wrong in thinking that I want you to just immediately port something, but like face-to-face communication over Facebook, the ability to connect with people that maybe aren't just your best friends, but your acquaintances as well. Where do you see the value in that, in the addition of virtual reality? Is it, yeah?
So something that Facebook definitely has done really well and has, they've done a lot of things really well, but that is potentially leverageable is their social network. So this social graph that they have. They have a database with you connected to most of your friends. They have most people on this database and in this system in Facebook, 1.2 billion people, which is a lot of people, and it's continuing to grow. And now they're layering other services on top. So to be able to go in and just sit down and talk about how potentially that could add value in VR is a conversation we can now have. I have really no idea if it's going to be valuable, but at least their mission to connect 1 billion people is in line with our mission to connect 1 billion people, and hopefully a lot of what they've learned on how to connect people, how to handle privacy, security. I think if you were at F8 or listened to F8, Mark spent a lot of time talking about how to really make sure you have a trusted account and an account that wasn't sharing all your information. That's something in VR that we're going to need to be concerned with too. We don't want you to have a user profile where you're like worried what virtual experiences you're jumping in and out of and what apps you're jumping in and out of. We want you to trust the platform. And so learning how to build a trusted social network is something that we now have the best people in the world to work on.
What I'm excited about for the two of you guys working together is unlocking new types of emotion that have been very hard to share digitally. Absolutely. So I got to watch an amazing concert produced by Chris Milk, this Beck concert on Oculus, and you actually,
super talented.
Yeah, it was amazing. It's amazing. I wrote an article about it, you should check it out.
Yeah.
But basically they had a camera on stage with Beck, a 360-degree camera, and you could look around the audience, and at the end of the show, everyone started clapping, and I looked, and they're looking up at me, and they're clapping. tapping, and I felt bashful. I felt myself blush. And no technology had ever made me blush before. And what are some of the other types of emotions you think could be unlocked by your technology and its combination with Facebook?
So it's, the long-term vision is that it's as real as real reality. VR should be as real as RR. And that's is certainly going to take a while, and we're going to get there over the next decade or two. But you're going to be able to unlock almost all of the same emotions that you can have in real life. Being shy, being bashful, kind of turning red, and all the different things that you can feel, feeling embarrassed, feeling the sense of vertigo. I mean, one of the demos that we have has a platform, and you're looking around, and then we change it, and now we say, now look down, and people look down, and they go, and you can watch their legs tense up, every single person, everybody. And you say, take a step forward off the ledge. Most people can't do it. Even though they're sitting there trying to remind themselves, oh, this isn't real, this isn't real, they're still looking over the ledge and they go, I can't do it, it's too real.
So it's not even just fear in the sense of of thinking of fear, but it's like the physical, physiological response.
Same thing you feel if you were on a ledge in real life. Claustrophobia is another one that there's an experience where there's a little pod and you're in it and you're looking around, you're like, okay, and then I tell people now look, turn around, and people turn around and they go, oh man, this is really small. This is a tight space, and they immediately get the sense of claustrophobia. Then you take them to the next experience and it goes away. You can't get that on a 2D monitor, and there's just no way to do it. You can't look at a 2D monitor and get this and have your legs lock up, or look at a 2D monitor and be like, oh, I'm claustrophobic in this space. Or, I mean, most emotions that we have, most deep emotions that we have, are actually very, very hard to unlock on a 2D monitor. Movies have done a pretty good job at certain, to make you sad or happy in certain ways. And we've mastered that art of kind of filmmaking. But really, the 2D monitor is very, very limited. And so replacing virtual vision is going to enable all these incredible emotions. I mean, you have people that really do truly fall in love in VR, which is going to be very, very powerful. And that's one of the most powerful emotions.
Yeah, I mean, I want to feel the pride of saving the galaxy standing on that stage in front of the Rebel Alliance at the end of Star Wars. I want to feel the awkwardness of going on a first date. Yeah, I think that there's just a really wide range of things that
unless you're on stage with an audience in front of you, with people looking up and making eye contact right with you, and you feel truly like you're on stage in front of 40,000 people. That'd be incredible. Most of us don't get to experience that.
Now, when Parse got bought by Facebook, there was a whole bunch of developers who were like, "Oh, we don't want Facebook having our data. We don't want them to have control of this platform." There was, competitors that were building sort of porting systems so that you could port your app out of Parse. And at the time, they had 60,000 apps on Parse. Now, Facebook, a year later, has 260,000 apps on Parse. Turns out, while everyone kicked and screamed a bunch, people didn't actually abandon the platform. Now, a few weeks after the acquisition, and the yelling has died down. Have you seen a real significant number of developers turn away from the platform or turn their headsets, or
actually, quite the opposite. I mean, we had a record launch with the DK2 when we announced and we announced our deal a few days after that, and we continued to see adoption go through the roof. And so I think we sold on DK2 pre-order on DK2 as many units as we sold in the first 12 months of DK1 and the first month of DK2. So I mean, people really were adopting it. The biggest thing I think for us was some of the really large developers out there who typically look at a platform and are late adopters to a new platform because they need to see the monetization of it. They need to see the return. They want to see a huge audience. They turned around to us after the announcement and said, we're so happy to see a new platform. It's about time. We're all in. We're ready to start developing content for this. And so now for the general developer, there's a greater chance that you're going to be able to make something and then create a business off of our platform, assuming that with this partnership, it's going to be bigger, better, faster.
That's fascinating. So maybe while there were some smaller developers who were complaining about it, you're saying that some of the larger ones who really need to be sure that there's going to be a market for something before they pour any development resources into it. They said, if you got Facebook behind you, this obviously isn't going to just fall down and disappear.
Right. And so venture capitalists, VCs are out there now investing in developers' projects and Kickstarter projects. Look at what it did to Kickstarter. We proved the Kickstarter model can create the the fastest multi-billion-dollar company of all time. That's an incredible. I mean, that was crowdfunded. That's something you can't do without the crowdfunding, or at least hasn't been done before. So it proved all these different. It was really positive. It proved all these different avenues.
But did you actually see with the curve itself when the announcement happened? What happened to the curve? I know you said you launched the DK2 a few days beforehand, but like, how did the curve of sales go?
Well, we got this kind of immediate knee-jerk reaction, which I think is certainly expected. We expected some of it, maybe not quite as much as happened, but really at the end of the day, I think it was expected. I mean, we knew there was going to be this reaction. We have built a very loyal community. We had built a very strong brand. We have a really clear culture and message of being open, transparent, honest, setting expectation. There are all these things that made Oculus what it was, founded by Palmer and our crew and our group, and so suddenly to see that get consumed or go away with this big juggernaut Titan, people feel like it's going to lose its character and who it is, and people want to see this character grow up and be really successful. I think what people have to remember is it's now much more likely to grow up and be successful and be a write-off and get to be a big platform, a mature platform with really significant backing, like Android. Think of the OS, the popular mobile OSs. Would Android be what it is without Google's backing, without its pairing it with different services? I doubt it would be as popular. It really took that backing. I think we could have been successful on our own, but with Facebook's backing, with their network, with their commitment to connecting 1 billion people in VR, we will get there, and we'll get there a lot faster and hopefully a lot less expensive, a lot cheaper for consumers.
Well, considering you're wearing both a hoodie and a suit jacket, I think you're doing a good job of combining your own style with Facebook. So
I'm still known as the suit at the office. I do not feel like a suit.
Wear the hoodie more. You'll get a better reception. Thanks a lot for talking with me, Brendan.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Cheers.